बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। नूर मौलाना शाह रहीम अल हुसैनी हाज़िर इमाम। या मौला मेहरबान, या मुश्किल कुशा, मदद फरमा, मदद फरमा। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। हस्बुनल्लाह व निअमल वकील व निअमल मौला व निअमन नसीर। या मुश्किल कुशा मेहरबान मौला, be the light on the tongue of नाचीज। या मौला मेहरबान, मदद फरमा, मदद फरमा। आमीन या रब्बल आलमीन। Once again, Ya Ali Madad to all friends. Today we will continue with this Farman, which we had started to study. Farman number 44 of Zanzibar, November 11th, 1899. And I hope you all remember that we had moved to this page. So we'll start from here. And we had covered this paragraph, but let's just start from this page and then we'll continue. So let us recite the salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. હકીકતીઓનો ઇશ્ક ઔલાદ, સ્ત્રી તથા પૈસા ઉપર નથી, પરંતુ ખુદાવંદ તાલા ઉપર છે. જેમ દુનિયાનો ઇશ્ક કે પોતાની સ્ત્રી સાથે નરમાસ, મોહબ્બત અને મીઠાસથી ચાલો છો, તેમ ખુદા સાથે પણ ચાલો. જેમ તમારી સ્ત્રી સાથે નરમાશ તથા મીઠાસથી બોલો છો, તે કરતાં 1000 દરજે ઇશ્ક તથા મોહબ્બત સાથે દુઆ પढ़ो તો 1000 દરજે ફાયદો થાય. In this paragraph, Maula is actually guiding us by giving a comparison that in the worldly life, how do we love our spouses, our partners, and we have to love 1,000 times more our Imam. And not only that, he is giving us this comparison, but the way we treat them, the way we live with them with so many compromises and so many efforts to maintain that relationship. Mola is actually giving us that guidance that there has to be these efforts taken to have this relationship with Imam, and a moment's love is not on his spouse or children or money, but it is always on Khudavan Ta'ala. So that comparison Imam is giving us to help us understand the reward which is multiplied times. Now this does not mean that we do not love our family members. It's not that, but it is giving us this comparative analysis that we should be able to understand and realize that how much love or effort we need to take for our Imam to have his love in our heart. And believe it or not, this is one of the effort that we are taking right now, you being here, different times, different time zones. But if you're here, this is an effort to show, to indicate to ourselves that, we love Imam. Because when we are staying busy in learning and growing in Dini ilm, it is to get close to the nur of the Imam. So this is one of the indications that we are doing ilmi zikr, because we love our Imam. તમારામાં કેટલાક એવા છે કે જ્ઞાન પડે છે પણ તેઓ મકસદ સમજતા નથી, જ્ઞાનની માયના સમજતા નથી, જે ઇન્સાનને સમજણ નથી તે જાનવર મિસાલ છે. Very beautifully, Imam is saying that there are many among us who do recite Ghinan, but what is the meaning of the Ghinan? They don't understand. They really don't understand the meaning of the Ghinan. What is the objective of those Ghinans? They don't understand. Those who do not understand are like animals. Very powerful, profound statement Mola is, giving us that those who do not understand Ghinan, they are like animals. Now, with very humbly, how many of us truly, when we are in Jamaat Khana listening to Ghinans or even reciting Ghinans, among us, how many truly understand the meaning of the Ghinan, right? Meaning of the Ghinan. So we have to realize that when we are reciting Ghinan, do we truly understand its, what is the meaning, what is the objective of that Ghinan? Because Ghinan actually means knowledge. So if we don't have that knowledge, then what is the objective? We are just like parrot singing the Ghinan. And Imam is giving this example of animal. And very interestingly, Khuda Ta'ala also talks about this example in Quran. So we will review some Quranic verses as well, because we have to realize that Imam is giving us the talimat from the Quran. But when we don't know Quran or Ghinan, we don't know. And Imam is clearly telling us then what we become if we don't know. So it is very important to really, reflect on these Ghinans. And I am truly humbled and honored and proud that those who come here for ilmi, classes, they are truly understanding the importance of, not remaining animals, right? It is not that whoever is born comes with the knowledge. No, everybody has to take effort to learn this knowledge. So those who are learning and growing, they are, distinguishing themselves that they do not want to remain like animals. Then Mola is giving hidayat. ઇન્સાન એક રીતે હેવાન માફક છે. જેમ ઇન્સાન ખાય છે પણ પાણી પીએ છે, ભૂમિઓ ભરે છે, તેમ હેવાન પણ કરી શકે છે. જે ઇન્સાનને ખુદાનો કે દીનનો વિચાર નથી તે જાનવર માફક છે, પણ હકીકતી મોમન દિલમાં વિચાર કરે છે. Imam is going into detail and explaining this example, further, that those humans, first Mullah is saying insan, and I've said that before, that when Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah is giving us Farman, when he uses the word insan, he's distinguishing the insan from hakikati moment. So Imam's words are very beautifully, defined. Actually, he himself has defined it in Faramins. So insan is everybody, right? But they are different from hakikati moment, and we need to figure out which category we fall, right? So humans, Mola says, that are like animals. The way animals, eat, drink, breathe. Humans and animals, they both do the same action of eating, drinking, or breathing. So in one way, humans are like animals. Then Mola says, જે ઇન્સાનને ખુદાનો કે દીનનો વિચાર નથી. Now, the actions of eating, breathing, living, having children, all these things are same as animals. So what makes us different, right? Then Imam is giving another comparison, and he says that those humans who do not have any thought about their deen, they are like animals. But it is Hakikati Mu'min who reflects in the heart what they are doing, how they're spending time, what is the reason of their birth to come to this world, why are they doing what they are doing. For everything, they are reflecting and thinking and deciding how to spend their time and how to spend their life. So we have to really reflect on these farmans. Now, let's see, what is the next paragraph? Let's read the next paragraph, and then we will go to my slides and see what I have there. તમો હકીકતીઓનો દીન સત્ય છે, પણ તમે તેનું સાચું વિચાર કરતા નથી. તથા મકસદ સમજતા નથી. તમારામાંથી ઘણા જણ દીનને સમજે છે, પણ તેઓ કરજદાર એટલે કે અધૂરા છે. કદાપી બે જણ નરસા હોય તો સારા સાથે વસે, તો સારાને જોઈને તેઓ પણ તેમના પ્રમાણે વર્તે છે. Beautiful Hidayat. Now Imam is teaching us one more thing in this Farman. Imam is first, he started with Janwar, animal, human, and then from human, those who distinguish, that there has to be purpose, or we are superior than animals. So what is the objective? And then Imam talked about Hakikati moment. Now Imam is saying that those who are Hakikati in the deen, they are walking on the straight path. But look at the word, what Imam is saying. See, Hakikati Momin and Hakikati. So Imam is again within the Hakikati Momin group is creating another distinction, and he says that those who are Hakikati, those who walk on the true path, and those who think truly, what is the purpose of life, and what is the purpose of being in this tariqah, and what is the objective. So he's saying that Hakikatis do that, meaning Hakikatis are those who not only, are walking, and the way they are walking is by reflecting, thinking, meaning we live mindfully. If we are not mindful, then we are absent-mindedly living, meaning we become like animals. So those who are Hakikati, they are always mindfully, present. They are living in that way. And then Imam is explaining that Tamara Mati Ghana Jana Deen ne samjhe che. Now, among the Hakikati, there are those who do understand the Deen. It is not that they don't. They are not like humans who are living like, animals. They are not like that, but they are Hakikati, and they understand that what is the objective. But they are incomplete. The way Imam has used this word karzdar atle ke adhura, he's explaining this word. Incomplete, meaning that some of Jamaati members do come into knowledge journey, and they seek knowledge, and they understand the basic things, and they say, oh, I got it, that's it. No, there is this concept that you can be Hakikati, you could be walking on the path of Sirat al-Mustaqim, but you do not have complete knowledge. Remember, knowledge itself is a step, but it has within it steps. There is a basic learning, then there is a middle part of learning, then there is an advanced learning. There is a learning as well, a lot of learning which is needed. And that is the first step to go to the Ainul Yaqeen. Ainul Yaqeen, we are able to see things in our batin. And we cannot see or understand our batin. And this deen, our deen is batni deen. We have to have the knowledge to be able to understand the batin. Otherwise, batin will be not, understood or missed out. So in order for us to truly enter into the next level, we really need knowledge. And we cannot afford to have half knowledge. So Imam is saying, adhura che, incomplete. And then Imam is giving us the guidance that how do you become complete? What do you do? And then he says that if there were to be two people and they are, doing bad deeds, let's say, and but they start sitting in the company of good people, good friends, ilmi friends. What will happen? They will see those good friends, those who are always busy in learning knowledge, in doing ilmi khidmat, and living life with knowledge, because they are sincere and serious to get to the next step of batini taraqi, which starts with knowledge. So if there are those who are incomplete and they are narsa, Mawla says, like they are doing bad deeds, they are not good. But if they sit in the company, if they become friends with good people, those good friends who are in knowledge journey, who are, dedicating, investing their time in learning knowledge, automatically by their companionship, by their friendship, they will also improve. So it is so interesting that, our friends, who do we spend time with, will also make us different people. If we are friends with worldly people, they will only teach us worldly things or talk about worldly things, and our breaths, our, precious time will be wasted. Man ka janam ratan hai, tu kahe ko khota hai. Every time, every minute is calculated. The way we heard Maula's Farman, that Maula is dedicating his life, and if we also want to dedicate our life, it starts with knowledge. And dedication meaning choosing the right company, choosing to spend time in our right ways. Um, Interestingly, I do have some lectures because Maula Ali talks about it in Kalam-i Maula. So there are some lectures about good company, because there's a whole chapter on good company in Kalam-i Maula. So you can listen to those lectures, because we need to understand what does it mean. Imam's farmans are so much, it has so much knowledge. Though we are trying our best to do, read line by line and understand and relate to Quranic verses, sometimes these, one statement, one line, one word, it is truly like a concept, and we really have to invest time and go into details of that. And we can't afford to go and do that. So if we really are interested about how to be in good company, what does it mean? There is a whole lecture dedicated to that topic only. Let me go to my slides and see. All right, so you're able to see my slides, Alhamdulillah. Um, so this is our same Farman of November 9th, 1899. And let's see what I realized, that I don't have Quranic verses opened here. Okay, so we'll have to do something else. All right, so these are the verses, 59 by 21, 25 by 44, 7 by 179, and 47 by 12. So let us first, let me open up my Quran, because I don't have the verses here, because we do study Quran, open up the Quran and study Quranic verses. So, okay, stop. No, we are able to see it. Maafi. All right, so let's do it here. So let's go to Legacy Quran, technology, blessings of technology. Maula talked about. So we are so blessed to have, Quran opened up for us. So let's go to first one, 59 by 21, and let's see what does that Quranic verse says. So I wonder if any of new friends are here who have joined the group. So we do go online and we are able to read, transliteration, and we can read different translations to understand what is the, different translation, because, translations also have errors. So we pick one and we read and understand. When we are truly getting into the details of the Quranic verses, going into ta'wil, then we really have to pay attention. But today, the objective is just to understand these Quranic verses and to relate it to Farman. So this is chapter 59, Suratul Hashr, verses 21. And let's read Shah International. He says, if we had sent down this Quran upon a mountain, you would have seen it humbled and coming apart from fear of Allah. And these examples we present to the people, that perhaps they will give thought. So if you were to look at this word in Arabic, لَأَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. This word, لَأَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, that this yatafakkar, like the word is from reflection, fikr karna, think, right? Reflection, give thought. See, he says give thought. Pictol says they may reflect. So when we were studying the Farman, and Maula said that samajhta nathi, they don't think, they don't reflect. This is exactly Maula teaching us from the Quran, that we don't think, right? Being humans, if we have come to this world, we don't think. So this was the first part which I wanted to emphasize, that, when Imam says samajhta nathi, meaning we have to use our intellect, because reflection relates to thinking, and thinking is intellect. And there are so many faramins of Shah Karim that we need to think, right? But let's look at the whole verse, and it says so beautifully that if we had caused this Quran to descend upon a mountain, very physical, words which is used, that Quran, if it were to be revealed to mountain, then it would have humbled. It would have humbled, right? Due to fear of Allah. Now, when we look at physical mountain, how mountain can humble? Mountain is made of, all the minerals and rocks and whatnot. So when we are not able to understand this verse, meaning there is a ta'wil hidden behind. And Tawili ilm from our Buzurgwar-e-Din teaches us the mountain, the allegory of this mountain. Actually, the meaning of it is intellect. So when Quran is, given to intellect, now which intellect? The intellect which is thinking, reflecting, and our Prophet Muhammad, it was revealed to our Prophet Muhammad, and we saw how he was humbled because he was so shukr guzar in gratitude. And to relate this verse to us in the sense that, yes, we know about the Prophet and we are reading this Farman, but when we truly reflect and think and use our intellect to understand Quranic verses, these Faramins, truly we will find this humility in our heart that Mola is so Rahman and He's helping us to understand these things in such detail. And then, there is element of fear. If you look at that, there is element of fear. Now, fear is not this worldly fear which we understand. This fear, when we see, it is relating to taqwā. And taqwā, if we understand from the Faramins of Hazri Imam, Shah Karim has talked about, even Maulana Hazri Imam talked about ethics of our tariqah. So when we want to understand that what is this fear of Allah, actually we need to reflect and think about the ethics. We need to follow the ethics. And then Khuda Ta'ala says in Quran that these example we present. So mountain is an example. Quran itself is an example right now. For us, it is to understand those who are thinkers, those who reflect will understand. So relate to the Farman, what we read, that they recite Ginan, but they don't understand because they're like animals. None of us is an animal. We are Maula's Murid and we are seekers here. We want to grow and we do not want to remain incomplete. We don't want to be adhura the way Imam said. So this is beautiful Quranic verse. Believe it or not, that is what Imam is teaching in his Farman. So we have to write down these Quranic verses next to that paragraph and relate properly to understand that how Imam has been teaching us the talimat of Quran. It is us who have been neglectful, right? So Alhamdulillah, this was one verse, and let's look at the next verse. We have 25 by 44. And in this verse, when we are looking at, let's read Pictol, oh no, his English, is Shakespearean's English sometimes. Let's read Shah International. Or do you think that most of them hear or reason? They are not except like livestock. Rather, they are more astray in way. This is Suratul Furqan, verse 44. Very clear, very clear that most of them, do they hear or reason? Like, are they listening or thinking? They're just sitting, mechanically saying dua, mechanically reciting Ashaji, Ginan. What is the meaning? Why are we doing what we are doing? There is no thinking. There is no reflection. So of what Quran is saying, they are like animals. Farman said the same thing. So this becomes a question for us. Are we really thinking that we are who we are? I don't want to say it, but truly, this is what Quran is and Farman is saying. Are you an animal? Are you able to differentiate yourself from animal? What actions have you taken to differentiate yourself? And those who don't do that, they are far away from the straight path. They've gone astray, right? So it is very clear guidance in Farman and Quran. Like there's no doubt, there's no speck of any doubt that if we are not mindful and learning and growing, then immediately it is like, imagine the way in the last class, I recall we were talking about it, that you close your eyes, you see yourself as a human, and then you immediately see yourself, as we were talking about eating, gluttony, and you see yourself as a pig, right? So can you imagine that when we are not mindful, if somebody becomes really angry and they behave in anger, immediately that human became a dog. So it is all about reflecting and thinking to realize that are we truly, a human? If we are behaving like a human, then we can get into the category of Momin and then Hakikati Momin, because Momin is also a very general term. Everybody is Momin in Jama'at. But Imam's farmans are different. Imam is saying that there are animals. They sing Ginan, they say Ginan, but they don't understand it. So can you imagine when we are listening to these farmans and Quranic verses, it is like, you know, um, very hard facts for us to reflect and wake up. Now let's look at the next verse we have. We have Surah Araf 7 by 179. And in this verse, what we see, it says, and we have certainly created for hell many of the jinn and mankind. They have hearts with which they do not understand. They have eyes with which they do not see. And they have ears with which they do not hear. Those are like livestock. Rather, they are more astray. It is they who are the heedless. Very clear, very clear. The way we were looking at Farman, and Mola is saying that you're like animals. What is the end of animal? Animal soul, if we understand, as well, we have discussed the levels of different souls. The part of us, first level of the soul we call is animal soul, because that is the carnal soul, which always seeks instant gratification. And if we are always being commanded by the carnal soul, meaning that we are living a life of an animal, right? So animal will end up in hell. And clearly, Quran says that hell has been created. It is there. If there is a good, there is a bad. If there is Jannah, there is, dozakh as well. So who is it for? Very clearly, they have hearts which they do not understand. Now, heart, the word heart is actually qalb. In Arabic, it is qulub here, qulubun, which means heart, but one of the meaning is intellect as well. Remember that in Arabic, one word can mean very many things. In the Tawili sense, in the meaning of this word, this qulub not only just means physical heart, but it also means intellect. So those who do not use their intellect, those who do not understand, those who do not think, they are, destined to go to hell. And for smileys, we understand the concept of hell because there is a lecture about hell as well, right? That hell meaning that we are away, far away from Imam. And what do we always say? What is our dua? Ya Mola, asal mein wasai kar. We want to be with Imam. So if we want to be with Imam, the criteria Imam has given us in Farman, in Quran, very clearly, that if you have intellect, which we do, and if we don't use it to understand, then we are destined to go to the different direction, and we don't want that. Then another comparison is given that they have eyes which they do not, with which they do not see. We are not blind, but Quran has called people blind, deaf, and dumb. Do we not have eyes? We have eyes. So why aren't we seeing? Why aren't we seeing what we need to, we ought to see? We are seeing. We have ears, but we don't hear. So living life like completely absent-minded, right? Being driven by carnal soul, being blind and deaf and not thinking what is the purpose of our life. Those are like livestock. They are like cattle, animals. Rather, they are more astray. Quran is so clear in saying that they are more astray. It is they who are neglectful. So guidance for us is very clear. There is no doubt about it. And remember, I do not like to say that, this is not the objective to make us feel, guilty. Ashamed? Yes, we need to be ashamed. So we would, take heed and improve ourselves because we do not want to be away from Imam. We do not want to be those who are mindless when we are in Jamaat Khana or mindlessly spending our hours, our minutes, our seconds without his remembrance. We do not want to be those. So, yes, we need to be ashamed when we are not mindfully living. So, remember, the objective is that we wake up, not to feel guilty and say, oh, I can't do it, I'm bad. That is it. No, that is not the way for a moment. And here, I would say we are, Alhamdulillah, those who are seeking the path of Sirat al-Mustaqim, understanding Farman, Quran, to realize that how can we become better. Now, this is Surah Muhammad, verse 12. In this, the translation says, indeed, Allah will admit those who have believed and done righteous deeds to gardens beneath which rivers flow. But those who disbelieve enjoy themselves and eat as grazing livestock eat, and the fire will be the residence of them for them. Beautiful, beautiful verse that, he will, when we look at the transliteration, we will see here that inna allaha yadkhulu lazina amanu wa amilu salihati jannat. See this word? Jannat. Jannati tajri min tahtiha al-anhar. That beneath them rivers will flow. Right? Beautiful picture. If we close our eyes and imagine that these are those mu'minins who walked on the right path. They were believers. They believed in Farman, Ginan, Quran, and they followed it with the righteous deeds. When they did that, there were those that beneath them, under their feet there were gardens, and under the gardens rivers were flowing. What a beautiful imagery. Of course, there are so many tawilat, and we are not, the objective is not to go into detail today because we need to understand Farmans. But if you were to be interested to know about these verses, you can go to monoreality.org and read about these verses and understand the layers and layers of Tawili meaning. Books of Allama Sahiba is full of these talimat, right? So gardens beneath which rivers flow. Right now, even this imagery is so beautiful. Hell burning in fire versus those, they're walking in the garden and beneath their rivers are flowing, right? And those who disbelieve, what is their destination? They are eating and living as animals do. And fire will be definitely their residence. So Allah is very, very clear the way He is teaching us in Quran. Now let's get back to my slide again. Alhamdulillah. So these were the verses which we covered in order to relate to the Faramins we were discussing. Now let's see what I have next. So Ginan, our peers have given us beautiful Ginans, and of course, Ginan is also teaching us Quranic talimat. It is again us who may not know, and we have to seek this talimat to understand. So in this Ginan, Peer says, Eji bebe lochan sarvane, vidya lochan tran, sapat lochan dharamna jo vichari jaan. Bhai jo vichari jaan. So we understand that Peer says that every individual has two eyes. The way Quran said, you all are blind. Everybody has two eyes, but they are not using it, they are blind. So Peer is saying, Peer Sadguru Noor says that every individual has two eyes, and those who have knowledge, worldly knowledge even. He says that they have three eyes, because one is the eye of knowledge, physical eyes, then there is the eye of knowledge. But then there are seven eyes are attained through religious practices. Reflect upon this fact, O friends. So Peer is giving us very beautifully, making us understand this allegory that, physically we have two eyes. But can we imagine, can we think that when we use our intellect and when we get this dini, worldly ilm, we all do that. We have to survive in the world and we do that. We are very smart and focused and to do what we need to do in the physical worldly sense to grow and live comfortable life. But we are not here for that objective. It is all about dini ilm. So if we are seekers of dini ilm, Peer is saying that you will have seven eyes. Sapatalochan dharamna, joi vichari jan. Think, reflect, vichar. Same words, Farman, Qur'an, Gina. And then we have another verse of the same Gina. Eji lakh lochan gnanna. Eji lakh lochan gnanna jenuvar na par. Atma tatvane je orke te che. Sara masar. Beautiful Gnan. And the translation here is, though through gnans, meaning knowledge. It is knowledge, right? And this translator has said divine knowledge and wisdoms. But the word Gnan means actually knowledge, and after knowledge comes wisdom. One attains 100,000 eyes, and the possibilities of multiplying are infinite. Can you imagine? The one who attains the understanding of the mysteries of the soul is the best among the best. Those who will walk in the gardens and the rivers will flow underneath them. These are being talked about in this Gina. That their eyes, their understanding, their ability to understand is limitless, limitless. Do we not want to become like that? Don't we want to be abiding by the Farman, Quran, and Gina? It is an invitation for us to reflect and become true seekers in this knowledge. Now, let's see what we have more. Right. So this is a beautiful diagram from the book of Healing. I've given the link here. And Allama Sahib talks about this circle of progress and regress. And I thought it would be wonderful to really reflect on this Farman in a pictorial form, because exactly, it's the same teaching we are learning, which we learn from Farman, Ginan, and Quran. That when we look at the circle, we have to understand we all are here with one intention, progress. We do not want to regress. If we were those who are not conscious, probably will be in the bed, right now, doing other worldly things. But we are here, so there's a reason. So there is this circle of progress. So it starts with animal soul, right? Carnal soul. Because humans are called as animals. Why? Quran, Ginan, and Farman, so we understand. But those who become mindful, there is this world of animals, then there is a world of humanity. Alam-e Nasud, right? And this is human soul, meaning not carnal soul, but the rational human soul. And then the progress takes us to Alam-e Malakut, the world of angels. Alam-e Jabarut, the world of archangels. And then there is Holy Spirit, Ruhul Qudus. So every child who comes to this world, the first soul actually they receive is actually animal soul. As soon as the mom starts feeding, it is the all animal soul. But slowly, gradually, he receives this rational soul. And then an adult decides to invest their time, if that company or family, friends is given to in a right way, that this is the path we are seeking, we need to live life mindfully. Then, we have this path of becoming an angel and continue to go further and become one with Imam. Not after that, while living. That is the key, that is the beauty we are learning nowadays with Tawili Ilm. We have learned all this hadith, Mutu kabla anta mutu, die while living. Meaning kill the carnal soul and start progressing yourself. Become an angel. We have read that Farman where Imam said that you have two paths. One is of animal, one is of angel. So we make that choice. What do we want? And then, let's see. Then I have Kalam-i Maula, one verse. And this is about the good company I was mentioning. So Maula says in this, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. O नेक सोहबत पाई एकदम तो गनीमत जानो वेदम कि एकदम कलमा कुफर टूटे एकदम तौबा करे गुनाह एकदम तौबा करे गुनाह गुम एकदम त्रांबा सोना होवे पारस बीठे पड़े टंगशार एकदम मोहब्बत मौला वसे तो छूटी पड़े सब जंजाल Subhanallah, subhanallah. I love Kalam-i Maula. If you attain good company for one breath, being mindful, being aware, being awake, being reflective, one breath, it starts with one breath, then know the breath is being valuable. For by one breath of the profession of faith, spending in the faith in doing what we are talking about, infidelity is broken, being loyal to Imam. One breath of repentance reduces sins to nothing. Tobo is accepted for a moment. By one breath, copper becomes gold. When the philosopher's stone strikes the mint, it's all one breath, that the copper becomes gold. If for one breath the Lord is present, then one is free from all worries and problems. It is that one breath which is truly taken will take us to salvation. Subhanallah, subhanallah, subhanallah. It is truly, truly, amazing when we read this knowledge of our deen. It gives us so much love in our heart that it is hard to not fall in love with this knowledge and not desire to come close to the link, link by link, step by step to Imam. We are lovers of Mawla, and this helps us increase and keep this, ignited in our heart, in our being. So we continue to walk on this path of Sirat al-Mustaqim. Alhamdulillah. So let me end here. I wonder what is the time. Yeah, we are right on the time, Kareem.
Ji, subhanallah, subhanallah. Thank you, Niamat Saiba, once again for a wonderful session. I think today you've highlighted everything that we've heard before, but obviously not remembered it or not paying any emphasis to it or whatever, but the importance of understanding what our actions are and what our Shariati practices are, and understanding why we are doing this. So, as you mentioned, we can live like cattle or animals our whole life, or we can try and be human beings where we actually try and understand why we are in this world and what we have to achieve and why we have to achieve it. Yeah. I hope friends have a similar understanding, or if they have a more in-depth understanding of from the lecture, please come forward. Any questions, comments, reflections?
I see in the chat, Naeem has, Naeem, I think it is our friend Naeem from Australia. He is a scholar of Arabic, and I'm so glad to see that he's posting all the Quranic verses, and he has shared the information about the Quran, which is available. So those, I believe these friends are new because we have been sharing all this information about different ways of accessing technology. And I'm truly grateful to Naeem that he has even posted an app for you to download on your phone, on your tablet. So when you have these things available to you, it becomes so easy to access this knowledge. How much time do we spend on reading useless people forwarding things, sharing things, we can truly spend our time in what we need to learn. If we have these apps, technology has made it easier for us. Everything is available on our fingertips, but we have to click on the right things to be able to invest our time in an effective manner and stay in remembrance. Studying Quran, understanding Quranic verses is also zikr. We are staying in remembrance. So please take advantage of this information which is being shared on the chat as well. Thank you, Naeem Sahib.
As you mentioned, sorry, as it's mentioned in the ayats so clearly, that we have a choice of either remaining as animals or getting the benefit of intellect, and using our intellect, where one of the ayats mentioned gardens under rivers, and the cattle feeding on the grass and so on. So I think, it's very interesting that human beings always want to take the easy way out. And the easy way out is to carry on with your life as you've always done, and avoid taking the difficult route.
Yes.
And that's what we seem to be doing all the time,
Yeah.
Obviously it doesn't relate to friends over here, because they have decided to actually take that step, and give up their time to learn, Friends, any other questions, comments, reflections? I thought it was a very interesting session today. So hopefully some of you have got some feedback.
Yeah, my name is Amina. If I lost it for a little while because I had my connection wasn't great. But if I understood it correctly, you talked about taqwā, and then you talked about ethics, and that's a way of, if you were along the right ethics, you had that God consciousness, and you were in that taqwā. Am I right? Is that how you
Yes.
say?
Yes, but
I
remember,
think that is, I'll just finish. I thought that's how it was. And I think that is just so amazing, because you find that, people talking, young people as well as older, talking about how all this life thus far, I'm like 67 years old, and like, there wasn't that much of an emphasis on the Quran. I come from a family where there always was a more emphasis on Quran, simply because part of my family were not Ismailis. And so in many ways, that kind of idea of connecting the messages, the Farmans, the Ginans, to basically the concepts that are important is so very important. And so, I mean, I never thought about taqwa as God consciousness and as ethics. But when you think about it, it's true.
so Amina, thank you. Thank you for sharing. I truly am happy that you are joining and you are connecting and reflecting, and your feedback is amazing. You know what I would recommend? So we've been doing these classes, and of course, there are new friends who have joined recently. We had studied a chapter, actually 2 chapters from Book of Healing on taqwa. The taqwa, the word, it comes from Quran, and there are beautiful chapters written in Book of Healing. I would highly recommend, because I hear you as a seeker interested to learn. I would ask friends to share that link. If you don't have, you can go to smileyliterature.org.com or monoreality.org. These are 3 different websites where you'll find these books, which I refer to in our classes. So Book of Healing itself has 2 chapters dedicated to the concept of taqwa. And it took us few classes actually to discuss, in a simplified manner, and, taking each point. But another thing, Amina, I hope that through our group you have joined global lectures as well, because on even today, one of the chapter, no, today is a different book. On Saturdays, different books are being discussed. Today is recognition of Imam, but other 3 Saturdays in a month, we are studying Book of Healing. So you would benefit a lot, because if you are someone who has been exposed to Quran and you've been reading it, for you it will be always aha moment, and you'll enjoy it so much. So I would recommend you highly to attend that class as well, which will be 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And this is the book Naeem Sahib has posted. So why don't you look into that book as well? And you
Sure,
will
I
enjoy.
will, and I do join. Yeah, I do join the lectures,
Subhanallah.
and I never feel that I can't understand, because even if I'm not very regular, I can kind of come up to speed very quickly, simply because as you realize that I have a bit of that kind of background. But I just think that why it's not available. Do you know what I mean? Like, and sometimes we talk about members of the Jamaat are not aware of all this, but they are not, because they're not made aware. And before all these sessions were starting, I was always feeling a little left out, because I always viewed things much differently, simply because of my background. And I couldn't connect with a lot of Ismailis and in Jamaat level, etc. And even at institutional level, where I have worked for 14 years for AKDN, so I kind of almost worked as an Ismaili, but almost a non-Ismaili. But I just kind of often feel that it's just not there, even a very kind of shallow understanding. And then you have scholars who kind of talk about it, like, do you ever see Imam sitting there opening the Quran and reading the Quran? No, you don't. But you need to tell them that, well, that's not it, but he tells you all about Quran. And it's a little bit more, what I'm trying to express to you is just that non-awareness within the Jamaat. And Jamaat is intelligent. I mean, that if they were exposed, then they would, so talim material and all is great now, but there's a whole lot of people who have missed out on that.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. But remember that there is a Farman of Shah Karim where Mola says that it is our responsibility to do personal search. So yes, there
Absolutely.
is part which is we can blame is missing. I agree with you. But then there is a part which we need to take, responsibility of, and that is personal search. Mola says personal individual search. And yes, I saw, I think Munira said he guides whom he wills, but he guides who shows that they are willing to be guided. Those who are living life like animals, there is no guidance, comes actually. Those who are seeking in their heart, they are guided. So yes, it is to understand Farhamins of Shah Karim. Shah Karim has clearly said that each one of us is responsible to do our own personal search. So yes, it is unfortunate that Talim is very shallow related to Quran. And if you, see and reflect that Ginans are talking about Quran, Farmans are teaching us about Quranic Talimat, and Quran has been the book with us for almost 1400 years. And if we have not studied that book, whose fault is that? So we do need to do individual personal search, and I am truly humbled and proud that you, has always been a seeker and learning and joining these classes. And I hope that you, being the Jamaati member, conveying to those who are not aware, because we don't know who are seeking and who are not seeking. And if we say something to those who are seeking, they may become interested, and we can bring them to, knowledge classes, and they can start learning and growing too. Right?
Sure. Thank you.
And Naeem has shared this step curriculum book on Quran, and it's a beautiful book. So you need those who do not know about Quran, we can simply give them this step curriculum book and tell them that this is from institution, read this book, and hopefully people will realize the importance of the studying of Quran. So thank you, Amina, for coming forward and saying what you said. I truly appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
We have a direct question. How do we understand as several verses have so many meaning in each sentence, or the words of Quran and Farman, how we comprehend in a simpler way as a beginner?
Very good question, very important, very valid question. There is, when you come, it is overwhelming. And that's why the intention in our group, we try to do, things very in a simplified manner, in a very slow pace. So we are studying this Farmans. I remember Hamida Ma would be here. She said, I read this Farman so many times, but now I understand it better. So we are trying to keep things very basic and connected. But then when we have evening classes, in which we do book studies, we talk about higher tawilat. So we do try as much as we can to talk about different levels of Quranic verses and its tawilat for friends to understand. So in the beginning, if you feel overwhelmed, lost, or do not know how to, be patient with yourself. Keep listening, keep reading, keep attending, and eventually, normally I tell my friends who, study with me privately, I tell them that think of yourself as you are collecting pieces of the puzzles. You collect pieces of puzzles, and a time will come that the board will be completed, but you have to be patient. First, you have to collect the pieces of the puzzle and give yourself time, and you will be so shocked by your own self that, aha, I do understand it now. There are so many friends who have shared that, in the beginning they were lost, but a time comes when it all starts making sense. So be patient, be kind with yourself, but invest your time in reading, listening to lectures, and re-listening to lectures. And especially the book studies are very important. For example, last book which I finished was book Jamaat Khana. So Jamaat Khana lectures, you read the chapter in the book and then you listen to the lectures. Then again you go back to the book. And then if you feel like, as we have talked about in those lectures, you will open the Quran, you will highlight the Quran, and you will read that as well. And then you can go, if you feel like, you can go to these tawilat, higher tawilat, which are there in monoreality websites or in the books, because we have referred to different books in those lectures. So there is this way which has been shown that step by step you can do that. But in the beginning, if you're here listening to lectures, I would say Mubarakbad, your understanding. I hope you will go back and these 4 verses we have studied, you will highlight these verses in your Quran. And when you come into the evening sessions, or, we have evening and night sessions now, so you can, learn further in those sessions. We have Sultanuddin covering 100 questions book, and we have Riaz doing precious treasures. So we are studying different books, and in Saturdays, I told you, Sunday, we are doing Holy Dua. So there's lots of opportunity for you to pick a book, listen to the lecture, and go back to the lecture or the book. And you have several books which you are studying every week. So where is the time to waste, right? And you will be, alhamdulillah, amazed by your own self that how much you are learning.
Thank you for that clarification, Niamat Saiba. We have comments. Thank you for bringing so much knowledge, really helpful. And then no words to express our gratitude. So that's
It's all due to Mawla. You have to remember, it's all His mercy upon us, right? Shukr Mawla.
Okay. Friends, last call. Any other questions, comments, or reflections before we close the session? Thank you, Niamat Saiba, once again for a wonderful session. And inshallah, we'll meet next week again to continue Farman number 44. Okay? Thank you, friends, for joining. Ya Ali Madad.
Thank you.
Ya Ali Madad, thank you.
Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad, Niamat Chandani.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad.